Let's review this applicant, Ramya Rajanathan. Let's see. So Ramya is originally from India, so that's interesting. They live in Plano, come from a highly educated family, seems like they're pretty well off. Not any immediate indicators of hardship, certainly being born outside of the United States, that might come into play. But unless she decides to tell us more about that, then we'll have to put that into context. So this is a female applying to computer science. So computer science is a pretty male-dominated field. So that's something that your reviewer should probably note. Academically, the student's doing pretty well, just inside the top 10% of their class, scoring nearly perfect. Did score perfect on the math subsection of the ACT. Nearly perfect academic index score. This is a student who's also applying to Turing Scholars, really maximizing their senior year course schedule. 3 advanced math and science classes, 3 advanced humanities courses. This is a student who maximizing, Rumya is maximizing the resources in her environment. Definitely not taking senior year off. So she immediately starts Plano West Computing Club, organize and attend competitions focused on females in STEM. It's an interesting observation. Increased her involvement over time. Looks like orchestra is quite a committed activity for her. Third chair violin leadership council section leader. So this student has really increased their involvement over time. So I'll be curious to see if her resume or her essays expand on that a little more. Actually, she tells this is an interesting technique in the activity description. See expanded resume. So we'll definitely know in this file to pay close attention to the student's resume. Top 10 out of 180 for a mobile app competition. Looking at Fit for Major, that right up there with the programming club, it certainly demonstrates that. She plays tennis. This is an athlete, a student who's quite good at math and science, good instrument player. Also volunteers with the orchestra, middle school tour, help raise $10,000 for the flood in her hometown of Chennai. Really a lot of, there's a ton of volunteer hours here. Helped raise $7,000 for Indian education, 150 hours, Indian classical singing tutor, you know, helps host a soccer tournament for the city council. So really this student is has a well above average, an excellent commitment to service in her school and her community related to things that she's interested in. Superior ranking UIL orchestra solo ensemble, so has maximized her commitment to orchestra. Placed well in a stock market competition, so she has this business background as well. District champions in tennis, chosen to present ideas to administrators for the Plano West School Board. So, the student is emerging as a leader, really checking off these boxes for leadership indicators. Seems to have started a job, during the summer after her junior year, so that's good to see as well. Let's take a look at her essays and see what she discusses. She's offering a really vivid description about relationship with a parent. And most families, children and teenagers complain to their parents. With my family, I've accepted this role reversal. So we're immediately setting the tone that this isn't a traditional home environment. So maybe adding a little bit more context to that college educated, high income family. Came up with my American name when I was in kindergarten. Teacher couldn't pronounce it correctly. The correct pronunciation is Rumya. Instead, for the past 11 years, to make my life easier, I've always told teachers it's Rumya. So really talking about the difficult transition, being from a different culture, presumably in a predominantly white neighborhood. So again, adding some really fruitful context to her identity as an Indian, as an Asian American. I noticed teachers didn't have trouble pronouncing the names of my classmates. I began noticing that I was a little different. She was given different things at lunch, and a white girl looked over and started making fun of me. So this is really fully developing this idea, overcoming a little bit of adversity. It's never easy to be bullied whenever you're, especially at that age, when you're different from a lot of other people. I continue to work through the shame and my perceived differences when I can. The scar is fading. I refuse to let the words of some 6-year-old girl diminish my sense of cultural pride. So it isn't so much like, oh, that girl's terrible and how dare she, but I know kind of this mature, honest recognition that there are some people in the world that may not be very nice, and instead of complaining about it, it seems like Rumi has used this as an example to overcome some of this adversity. Tying back to the introductions, we're bringing it back home, discussing the mother, and they have kind of this reconciliation. I was able to speak to her a year ago, but things still aren't ideal. And really recognizing that she doesn't have all the things figured out. We both realize that to cooperate and grow together, we need to be able to learn from each other during these difficult times. And so this is quite a thoughtful essay, a nice conclusion here. We have some good reconciliation. The student demonstrates that they've taken a lot away from some of these childhood experiences. Let's get essay B. So on a much lighter note, shower singing is my jam. My greatest hits are Shawn Mendes' Stitches and Adele's Hello. A shower performance only has a captive audience of soaps, shampoo, and a running shower head. They always think you're great. Remember in her resume, she discussed this classical singing, so maybe some of her music competencies and interests will come out here. Singing the shower is just the beginning of my musical journey, yet we're learning a lot of Indian Carnatic singing, which prior to me reading this essay, I actually didn't know about Indian Carnatic singing. So I learned a lot from this student. I think an admissions reviewer probably would learn a lot as well. It tells kind of a funny story in hindsight about, one of her early performances that didn't quite go so well. My leg conspired against me as I tripped and fell. Really great illustrative language here. She's painting a good portrait of this experience. Again, we're bringing up the mom. Thank goodness my mom got the whole thing on video. It's a Prasad family greatest hits. This is really nice. As an 8-year-old, I burst into tears and ran off. My mom had to forcefully take me back into the stage. The audience greeted me with pity claps and sympathy. So we're adding a different dimension to the student's application. So the first essay was this kind of tension between the mother, and the second one is a much more lighthearted, positive, interpretation and view of her family life. Developing the idea here very well, providing a specific example. One very special concert for me was Asia Fest. Countless hours of entertaining shampoo and shower heads led to this very moment. Again, this metaphor is coming through again. I graduated from an audience of Aveeno shampoos to opening the show for a sold out auditorium of more than 800 people. So this is a great combination of being both clever and also continuing the point, building onto the narrative. Yikes, I was scared, but I absolutely killed it. Well, singing in orchestra, I've made it a point to give back to my community. So elaborating on those extracurricular activities and the service, those service points. I can now mentor students working through their own anxieties and perfectionist tendencies. I intend to continue growing my musical journey while broadening my academic horizons in computer science. So this is a student with a variety of interests, and it really isn't limiting them themselves. So this a very thoughtful SAB. You can imagine if she was responding to the new prompts that she might use elements of this to answer the question about leadership. This is a really solid, fantastic SAB. Checks off all the boxes for what a student should do. Let's look at SAC. One of the old applied Texas topics had and requires students to talk about a person of influence, and this would be a really good response to that old topic. Starts off painting the picture, setting the tone for the reviewer, talking about Lily Singh, aka Superwoman, makes my life just a little bit happier. Talking about a really neat movement, girl love, dedicating ending girl and girl enmity. It's already difficult living in a male-dominated world, so this is tying back into this larger theme of being a woman in a male-dominated industry. She might be one of the only females in her classes. You know, tell some entertaining stories here. This is quite an interesting essay. We'll keep your reviewer reading for sure. I was able to build up confidence again by surrounding myself with people who really made a difference, really great influence on me. Kind of using this example of petty high school drama and extrapolating some larger points. Because we had a lot in common, she saw me as a threat. So again, some empathetic language there, putting herself in the shoes of her supposed bully. Everything got resolved, but the grief she caused was unnecessary. This is exactly what Lily advocates against. As a woman entering computer science, we often don't get the respect and credit we deserve. We need to stick together and stop tearing each other down if we want to make a mark on our world. My mom and I work together. Again, this is the third essay that her mom's been mentioned in. make our mark at home, proving to my dad and brother that we were forced to be reckoned with. So this is, kind of a funny, but with some, but also very serious, point that she's making here, that these issues about, about just being a woman in the world in general, it's not an easy thing, and she's dealing with this in quite a mature way through talking about one of her idols, Lily. So I guess if she had a ticket, then she'd want to meet her mentor, talk about how her campaign has really influenced her own life. I'd also convince her to hook up with Shawn Mendes because why not? It's this is nice. I think this really lets this really lets Ramya's personality come through. I think if we were just reading SAA, it might leave us with some kind of something of a somber mood or somber conclusion. But essays B and C are a little bit lighter and really demonstrates the full range of the student's personality. So we're really getting a complex perspective on a lot of different dimensions. So let's look at the expanded resume. Remember that note said we should definitely take a look at this. We have a little bit more about her job. It's nice that she's working. So it's really good that she just makes it easy for the reviewer. Computer science and programming experience. So this is her demonstrating her fit for major. Database class, advanced programming class at UT Dallas. So she's seeking education outside of her high school. Plano West Computer Club, girls coding competition. Was one of the only all-girls teams competing at Richardson High School, only all-girls team. So this theme keeps coming back again. She's obviously competing at a high level. Top 10 ideas out of 180 nation statewide. So really quite a variety of contexts. We're seeing both a breadth and a depth of experiences. Music was a theme in one of the essays, so let's see what we have here. Plano West Orchestra. So she was not only playing but organized a ton of social events. Drug Awareness Week, Asian Fest, Plano West banquets. This more than a half dozen things that she took a leadership role in. Tutored mentors, tutored middle school violinists to improve their playing capabilities, superior ratings. This is a highly talented student who's clearly giving back. Indian classical singing. Let's see. So this is those fundraiser activities. Receive essential resources such as clean water and stable education. There were some really bad floods in Chennai a few years ago. I remember this, and the student, Rummy has clearly taken initiative to raise a substantial amount of money to give back to her hometown. Talks about competitions and performances. So this is also really neat. Again, is mentoring younger students. So really between the music, she's maximizing her commitment to two pretty different activities: computer science, programming, business, and then again with the music, orchestra, Indian classical singing. In the stock market competition, she's an athlete. A lot of good community service. So I think just based on the applied Texas, when we're looking at this, this is a student who starts off probably at a high four, a low five. Between the essays, we're learning a lot more. The student is really solidifying their place as the mid to high five. With the expanded resume, where we learned a lot more. You know, Rummy is really demonstrating her fit for a major and putting forward a highly compelling case. I think by the end of the expanded resume, I would probably award this student with a definitely a high five or a low six, depending on the day, my mood, what other applications I've read. I put that analysis here. So she demonstrates a deep commitment to two different activities, linking to her first choice major, ties into this larger social theme of women being underrepresented in computer science, and speaks, very thoughtfully about, what her role in society is and where she wants to be going forward in the long term. Like I said, I'd probably give the student a six. The only thing that they're really lacking is something on a state UIL competition or a national level competition could really help solidify the student as a solid six. It'd be very hard to see any reviewer giving the student anything less than a five. In practice, it's hard to say they did gain admission to computer science. Their academics were pretty good. I think in practice the student probably received a five, but it's certainly possible they received a six as well. Recognizing only about 1 in every 100 students, applicants does receive a six. The student has probably a 1 in 4 chance of being one of those 1% applicants.